Hello, World Wide Web. Hello. We are the Hangin With Web Show crew, and tonight we've got something special in store for you. We are here to talk about Scoob. That's right, Scooby-Doo, baby. And we are here. We didn't want to do this all on our own, and we didn't want to just get on here and talk about what we saw, but we wanted to reach out to the experts. So we did. We reached out, and we've got the one and only Marie Rose from Saturday Morning Cartoons is with us today. And right down here, we've got the one and only Thomas Carter Rochester. He's a pop culture enthusiast. He is a cartoon science fiction comic book connoisseur, if you will.
Wow. That was also Thor.
That's right. And he's Thor.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that as well.
That too. Guys, thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
No, thank you for having us.
Oh,
yes, thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to see you guys. I was going to wait and see if the Saturday Morning Cartoon crew did something for this movie, but then I realized that this show is scheduled out now for a while, and the guys were like, well, I don't know. They weren't really going to watch right away. Oh, wow. Our screens just cut out, and Roger and Thomas just did too. But the guys over at Saturday Morning Cartoons are going to wait a little bit before they watch, except for I knew Rose wasn't going to wait.
No, I am a huge Scooby-Doo fan, so.
Yeah. Go up there and hit the X out of that so I can still see what's going on the screen. That'd be awesome. Great. All right. So Thomas is having some difficulty getting back in here, but for those of you that are not aware, I don't know what log you're living under, but you have internet connection right now, which is probably more than the rest of us here because we're in and out quite a bit. But
everybody's online tonight.
Yeah, everybody's online tonight, which is great. In fact, right now, if you're not watching this show or if you're just kind of browsing by and you're looking for things to watch, you can actually catch the Kitchen Killers live at 7:05 show going on right now. They are doing the You Pick Two songs tonight. So don't miss out on that, guys. Or just, it's Facebook. You can kind of TiVo it. Just know that it's there and go back and watch that too. So this past weekend, the Scooby-Doo franchise dropped another full-length feature film. Only this time it was CGI animation, and it's for those of you that aren't aware, it's called Scoob, and It's a unique idea, and the director had some unique ideas on what he wanted to do with the film, especially following up. When you think about following up all of the Scooby-Doo live-action straight-to-video films that were out in the 90s and early 2000s. So rather than just redoing it again, he had a different idea, which is really cool. And so everyone here on screen has seen Scoob. We watched it on iTunes in our iTunes library, and it's also, you can get it Amazon. It dropped on to streaming services exactly as if it were dropping into theaters. So you can watch it on almost any streaming service where you can purchase your content.
And that was really cool.
And that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like the studios have done that during the safe at home time. The studios have just dropped straight to video basically into streaming. And came up with some streaming options. I know, like, streaming rentals for a family rental was like $19.95, and you could, rent it for like a few days for a family group and watch it just like if you were going to the movie theater. So that's kind of cool. So guys, let's go around here. We'll start with a rating, and then we'll talk about why. So let's go around. How many 1 to 10? How many Scooby snacks does Scoob get? Rose?
I'd give it a 6.5.
6.5 Scooby snacks. And Thomas Carter Rochester?
I have to go with like 8 or 9.
It's
high for me.
Which is high for you. And I'm also a little bit high. I think I'm going to go with a solid 7.5.
That's kind of what I was thinking, 7.5. I do find it interesting, though.
Yep.
That those of us who had grew up on like the really Hannah Barbera Scooby-Doo, right? I think that makes a difference.
It does
in the rating. I think that's why Thomas's rating is so high.
Because I think nostalgia plays a role in that, and we'll talk about that a little bit in that. For those of you that are out there and you're looking to maybe watch Scoob as a nostalgia piece, and I'll get Rose to talk about this a little bit more too, because I know she loves her cartoons. So if you're watching this as a nostalgia piece, this might not be the piece for you. And the only reason for that is that there's lots of fan service, lots of nostalgia thrown in there. But at its core, this is a children's story. This is a story made for children. There's the humor is for children. The storyline is a very basic. It's not an adult hero's journey that you just happen to see these kids on. No, this is a children's story. This is the value of friendship and the things that we teach our kids on Saturday mornings.
It's a feel-good.
It's a feel-good kids piece.
Really is.
So if you're watching this as an adult thinking, hey, I love Scooby-Doo and this is a nostalgia piece, it might not be for you in that way. The story itself is very aimed at my 9-year-old. Oh my God, he's hooked now. He was, of course, they have not grown up with Scooby-Doo the way we did. So this is one of the first or second times he's been exposed to Scooby-Doo.
Don't make that face, Thomas. He knows who Scooby-Doo is, but it's not, it's not the same Scooby-Doo that we did.
So, but he loves it.
Yes.
So I could see where that audience, the children's storytelling did its job. But for us, the nostalgia watchers, there was lots of fan service given, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to get into the story here, I think it's not a nostalgia piece necessarily. Rose, what do you think?
I totally agree with you. The reason why I gave it 6.5 Scooby Snacks is because I was really hoping for more of the classic Scooby-Doo, which you really don't have here. You have a totally different story. There really isn't a mystery. It's more about growth and growing as a person, sort of like, the Batman Lego film, which I actually liked better than this. But that's probably why I gave it as a low rating, because even though it is filled with fan service, there's a lot of great moments, and Easter eggs. But really, I like the Easter eggs part of it, but the overall storyline, it just didn't do anything.
Yeah, I kind of felt like you had to be 10 to really enjoy the story portion of this.
My son is 16 and he's on the autism spectrum, and he absolutely loved it. He loved it a lot better than I did,
Yeah, so the kids, again, what Hannah Barbera did for us, Warner Brothers is doing for these kids. They're giving them a great kid story and some great characters, and the characters in this story are beloved. And every generation and every iteration has been beloved. So I think it did its job for the kids. But for a lot of adults, we watch our cartoons sometimes looking for that nostalgic feel. And I did feel it. I got it when the director wanted me to get it, I got it. Right. Because he did some really cool things.
Fed to you too. Kind of
spoon-fed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then afterwards, I was kind of like this. Okay. And my 10-year-old was just excited and going for it. Thomas, what about you, man? You gave it the highest score here. You gave it a solid 8. So what do you think as a nostalgia film, as a kid's story, as all the way around? What do you think, man?
I definitely wouldn't say it's for nostalgia.
Thomas is in and out of internet service here.
Goodness gracious. Am I back?
You are back.
Magic. I actually, it's definitely not a nostalgia piece. It is, Scoob for a new generation. But what I actually, I would disagree that it's not an adult's hero's journey. It kind of is, in the sense that Shaggy, for the first time ever, truly has to overcome his fear. And in this sense, it's his fear of loss of his friend and changing. So he goes through that change, and his real, his dark night of the soul is in, spoiler alert, when he's, as soon as they lose Scoob, that's like it. He's got nowhere else to go. And then he has that's okay. We change. That's what people are for. And then he has his, spoiler alert, Alexander the Great moment, where he has this rousing speech, which the whole time I was like, is this a dream? The first time I saw it, I was like, this is a dream, right? And then I saw it in the second viewing when I watched it. I was like, oh man, they literally teed that up right for you. Like, oh no, this is who he is. And then in terms of the mystery side of it, it's actually like, why are they important is really what it comes down to. Why is Scoob important? Why is Shaggy important, both to Mystery Inc. and to the plot of the K9s in the underworld? Oh my God, your set's moving. It's a ghost.
Back now.
And then I felt that it really portrayed the mystery, but they give you the answer rather quickly so they can get through with the blockbuster side of things, where they almost fought, hellhounds, which would have been super sweet. But that's okay. That was my favorite deleted scene.
Yeah, I had to go with kind of. I did think that it was really kind of neat that this is the first time that I can think of where Shaggy kind of got his own story. This was his. This really was Shaggy's journey in this, and that was kind of cool. Back in our day, I don't think we had a Mystery Inc. origin story. And I know in the 90s and the 2000s in the live actions, they kind of came up with one. Yeah. But I don't think we had a Scooby-Doo origin story back then. So they kind of just were. They were the Scooby Gang. But I think it was kind of interesting to see them revisit that. What I really loved about that was that it kicks off Mystery Inc. as children, which again, the target audience is going to really dig that because these guys start solving mysteries at that 10, 11, 12 age. And then by the time we come into this new story, spoiler alert, they're young adults. But
a lot of it's an homage to a pup named Scooby-Doo, which was a really good cartoon.
Yes. And they did a lot with those things. Speaking of homages and things like that, the next one I really wanted to talk to you guys about was all of the fan service, all of the Easter eggs, all the things. And it starts with one in particular. Steven's going to get this ready, and I'll just keep chattering until he does. Go ahead. Of all the fan service that's out there, they kicked it right off in the beginning with an homage to the 80s revisit, wasn't it, Rose? I think it was the 80s or 90s when Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And
Scooby-Doo, Where Are You was the original. That was the original show.
Okay, yeah. And so then so what they did was they took that original opening soundtrack.
They did a beautiful job with that. Yeah.
And they did it. Well, somebody on YouTube has gone ahead and taken it shot for shot. They've done a comparison.
Of course they have.
And that's one of the reasons I was happy to give this a couple of days, because I knew somebody would eventually do this. So shot for shot, here is the very first place where they tip their hat to us. And they say, we know that the kids are going to love this, but moms and dads, we're glad you're with us. So here's the first time. So let's go ahead and run this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Add to the stream. Yep, and play. All right, come on back to us there, Stephen. There we go. Oh, we lost Thomas for a minute there. I'm sure he'll be back on. I think that was the first place in the movie where literally every grown-up in the room was shaking their hands and yay. Yes. Because it's been, a lot of the iterations of Scooby-Doo have done, you've heard the song. And of course, they've done a lot of in their fan service, even live action stuff. You've heard the song here and there, but to see it shot for shot, just about done on screen like that for this new generation was just one of those really cool.
That was so awesome. We were like, look, it's our moment.
I think
it was a great moment. I loved it. I think we've lost everybody, and I'm still on. So yeah, I really love the opening of the Scooby. That was a great moment. Shot for shot. Oh, here it looks like we're coming back.
I'm here. I'm back.
Yay! I think we lost the web show though.
Oh, technology! Blame Tony Stark.
So, what did you think of that opening?
I caught it the first time it came on because I actually grew up on the original Scooby-Doo. We didn't have cable, so we only had VHS tapes. And so whenever I'd go to my grandparents' house, it would be at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning before I went to school, and I'd watch a little bit of Scooby-Doo. But when I'd stay there, the late at night show was always Scooby-Doo. And it would also come on at 4 a.m., which I strangely always had to wake up at that exact time and be afraid. So I grew up on that and I caught it instantly and I started screaming. I was watching it with my nephews and I started screaming. I was like, oh my God, that's the original. And they're like, why are you screaming? And I was like, why aren't you screaming? Gosh, 12-year-olds.
Yeah, it was. Stephen, I think Michael looked at us like we had all
Yes.
Because that for us was that first time they tipped their hat and said, hey, we know it's 10-year-olds watching, but we know mom and dad are there.
Did you think we lost our mind?
What did you think when you heard the original Scooby on your Scooby-Doo?
I thought it was, because I did not fully grow up on it, but I partly grew up on Scooby-Doo, so I knew what that song was from.
Uh-huh.
So I did not think you lost your minds. I just thought you went crazy over something that didn't mean that much.
Okay. All right. Well, to us, it really was cool because it was, from our childhood.
That's true.
Rose is laughing. It's a great place to get stuck. When Rose was just laughing really good. Rose, you watched with your son, and so
Yes.
Did he think you lost your mind when you got excited over that portion?
Well, he's used to me being like that all the time, so I was fangirling, and he knows exactly when I get in those modes. So.
So, which brings us to so that for us, that's their very first hat tip. So, do you guys each of you have a favorite Easter egg that popped out?
For me, it's probably the intro. I went back because I bought it on Vudu and it gave me 3 episodes of the original series. So as soon as the movie ended, I went to the cartoon and I was like, boys, this is why I lost my mind. And they're like, oh my God, it's it's almost the exact same. I was like, it is the exact same minus 2 shots that are slightly different, not counting the kids being kids in the beginning. And they're like, how did you know all that? And I was like, come on, guys, it's me.
Yeah, this may be your first time, but this is our 487,000th Scooby-Doo episode. Yeah. Rose, how about you?
I think my favorite Easter egg was the Funland. When they went to Funland and in Romania, because that's just like a classic Scooby-Doo. One of the best episodes. So that was really fun. I also like the Messick Mountain. I thought that was a great tribute to Don Messick, who was the original voice of the Scooby-Doo.
Sorry, everybody. We kind of got lost there. So
they just carry on. They know what they're doing. Yeah, we're surrounded by pros. They know what they're doing.
That's right.
Semi-pro. Keep calm and carry on.
That's right.
Did you have a favorite Easter egg moment?
Do you have a favorite thing that you might recognize from another cartoon or from something else you might have seen? Excuse me.
Other than the Hannah Barbera characters, no.
Okay, well, you got to meet other Hannah Barbera characters. That was kind of cool, huh? Yeah.
Like Cat Blue Falcon, Dick Dastardly.
Yeah. See, guys, I got to tell you, that was my favorite thing to see was Dick Dastardly.
I'm not.
He was great.
I don't think we've seen Dick Dastardly in anything since like a Wacky Racers.
Well, Dick Dastardly was on a bunch of different shows. He and Muttley.
There's Rose will know.
They were in the famous flying machines together. Him and Muttley.
Yeah, internet is messing with us tonight, guys.
It's true.
Seeing Dick Dastardly on the big screen like that was really kind of cool. I wasn't sure at first because the artist took a lot of liberties with the facial structure and things. If you remember, Dick Dastardly had that very oval face.
Mm-hmm.
And this character, at first I didn't quite recognize, but the actor did a good. I mean, obviously the actor was
Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs. And he had a lot of fun doing that role. He was great.
Brilliant performance, and
mustache twirling at its finest.
I love that. And to me, growing up, Dick Dastardly was the definition of that mustache twirling bad guy. You know, I didn't, you know, I later on in life, I learned that we had other characters in silent films and things that were that archetype, but Dick Dastardly was what defined it for me as a child.
That's true. Well, and I love the payoff for Muttley.
Yes.
Because that was it. And I was like, really? Where is he? And then he talked about him, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. But then we got the actual payoff.
I like that he had a photo. He had like a painting of him, you know, in his lair. You know, that was really nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. So I enjoyed Dick Dastardly.
Yes.
I also enjoyed the fact that the other Hanna-Barbera characters came out and interacted. Now, Scooby-Doo's been famous for 2 generations, I think, now, interacting with other.
Oh,
with other characters and people, such as my favorite. It's how I got into Scooby-Doo was the original Adam West and Burt Ward Batman and Robin. I had that on VHS. Pretty sure I actually murdered the VHS because I watched it so much. And I think it was coupled with, was it Sonny and Cher?
Ooh, if you have the Sonny and Cher one, that's rare. You can't get that anymore. Yeah. There's 2 Scooby-Doo movies that you cannot find anymore, and that's the Addams Family and Sonny and Cher because of copyright issues.
Ooh, I definitely had Batman and Robin, and it was either Sonny and Cher or the Harlem Globetrotters.
The Harlem Globetrotters were on there like a couple of times.
Yeah. I can't remember which one it was, but I watched that tape about as much as I watched The Lion King, which was a lot.
Scooby-Doo movies were great. And you know, they paid homage to those by bringing in Simon Cowell into the film. And Christina Hendricks was in there also. I guess she played the part of the cop.
Yes, I think she played the sexy cop.
Yeah.
Which had a great moment when Fred's like, I have so many mixed feelings. And they like the facial twitch that they put in there was like, that's glorious.
It was a really cute moment.
It was. And I knew where it was going as soon as she started like, are you sure he's not handsome? And I was like, oh, Rick with a D. And
so what did you think about the role reversal in the Dynamite and Falcon characters?
So I don't remember much of Blue Falcon and Dynamite. I recognize them. I was like, oh, I've seen them somewhere. I think in Scooby-Doo. I could be wrong. When the trailer dropped back in whatever year that was. And I didn't realize it until after the movie, but I actually really enjoyed it because it kind of aggressively lent itself to the story of Scoob is like, I'm the key. And then Shag is like, I'm exactly 100% unimportant. So I enjoyed that. And the fact that they had Mark Wahlberg, who is, you know, one of the epitomes of, I'm a big, tough man. I can do anything. And he's just like, yeah, I'm a DJ. DJ Bud Falcon. I thought that was a really interesting turn. Which I did think at the very beginning that they'd killed off adult like Dad Blue Falcon.
Right.
Like, he's moved on to a better place. I was like, that got dark so fast.
Well, I think that the reason why they really changed it up a little bit was because he was a straight man, the original Blue Falcon. And I mean, he had no room for growth or character. So to put his son in that role and for him to try to step into his dad's shoes, I think, you know, it was kind of like, you know, a good pairing with the actual main storyline. And I thought that was interesting because Dynamite was always kind of like a goofball in the actual TV show. And he had their own series, and then they mixed it up sometimes with Scooby-Doo every now and then. But in this one, he's like, he's the one with the brains, and it's the son that's kind of like, you know, goofy and needs to learn to find his way. So I kind of like that change in it.
And I also enjoy how they like dropped in the psychology of the character in that one scene with Shaggy, where he's like, that means a lot coming from you. How do you mean, friend? And then he just raffles off like all the reasons why he has no confidence. And my favorite part is like, you know, in the imposter syndrome that comes with having to fill those shoes of not only your dad, but one of the greatest heroes of all time. how do you breathe under the weight of all that? And his response is just trying to breathe.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
That was a great scene. And I think as kids grow up, especially with coronavirus situations going on, they're going to learn a little bit more about the psychology of humanity. And that scene is going to teach them a lot when they go back and rewatch it and go, oh, everybody has that feeling when it comes to trying to do something outside of the scope that they normally think they can do. They always feel that imposter syndrome, which is important, especially for, 10-year-olds, which is this is aimed at.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. Because people, sometimes these siblings, they feel like they have to step in, be like their older brother or sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that a lot of that, it's a really good message for them, I believe.
Ouch. Yes. So while we're waiting on them to get back, because they had all the questions and the plot of this show, my favorite quote is easily, it's more of a scene than a quote. It's the back and forth between Dick Dastardly and Scooby-Doo in the Funhouse mirror place. And he's like, my name is Dick. Rick? No, Dick with a D. Rick with a D.
All right, guys. I know we've
back.
been glitching in and out here. The guys, thank you guys, by the way, for holding the show together here a little bit. When we can all get back on. I do believe we have found the high traffic area of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wednesday night at
7.
Yes.
7 Eastern. Thank you.
Yeah, because people can't bowl, so they're on the internet.
I knew there was an explanation, and Rose found it. Yes. Guys, thank you so much. You know what? We're not going to try to bull through any more with this, though, because I know we are each on about our 4th time coming back on.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of wrap it up. You guys got our scores. However, I will tell you, we will try to get this crew together again and talk a little bit more in depth, because it was a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed the Easter eggs probably more than anything. The little kids are going to love this film.
Oh, yeah.
I went in with a preconceived notion, because I am not a huge fan of computer-generated animation. I don't know what about it does that I don't like. It's not a thing that in particular I don't like. When the lines disappeared from animation, it just kind of didn't feel like a cartoon to me anymore. And there are a lot of it out there now, and it's all very good storytelling, but I'm not a fan. So I went in with a preconceived readiness to be disappointed. And instead I had a good time with what they gave to me. And then I got to watch Michael have a good time with a children's story, and one that's familiar to us as adults. So I'd love to chat more with both of these fantastic people.
And we will.
Who
and they got cut out again.
And they got cut out. How classic of that. While they're not here, my next favorite quote is easily the "How do you know so much about superheroes, but not about the metric system? Because I'm an American man."
Yeah, that's a funny scene. I like that. That was really great. I really enjoyed the movie. For the Easter eggs and some like I said, it's cute. It's really more geared towards kids. I was a little bit disappointed because it's a totally different story from the regular Scooby-Doo storyline. But I think everybody should watch it, especially if you're a Scooby-Doo fan. You can't not see it. So
I concur.
Well, you know what? It's a pleasure meeting you. I've not met you before, so it was nice getting to share the screen with you tonight.
Yes, it's I've seen you on the Saturday morning cartoons, and it's a pleasure to meet you. So,
do you enjoy the show on Saturdays? We always try to do a little bit different.
Yes, I don't always catch it because sometimes I'm asleep, because I'm an hour behind where I live. So sometimes it's like, oh, I'm waking up when they're ending. That's not fun. But I do catch it here and there. I think I caught it last weekend. I don't remember when I caught it last. Actually, I've lost track of days.
Yeah, I totally understand. This week we're doing masks. It's Mark's turn, so that's his theme. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be superheroes, So
Yes. I got
should be a lot
all
of
that.
fun.
I'm ready for that.
Well, I guess we should say goodnight and log
Yes.
off.
We should say goodnight, and hopefully they'll be back in soon to where they can, end the stream, but they have to actually get into the back onto the internet before they can end the stream.
I hope you all who got to see us enjoyed it. So we'll talk to you later.
Yes, we'll talk to you later. And this is just a big tease for the in-depth Scoob talk that is coming in the near future. Give it 7 days, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Talk to you all later. Good night.
Good night. I've been given the screen to myself. Adam. Thank you.